If Music Was a Mirror. Field Notes from Song Camp by Aimée Okotie-Oyekan. As Carl's old pickup truck thrummed the long stretch of Oregon Highway 126 east, I took deep belly breaths and remembered to lower my shoulders and have open expectations. This was not the first time Mother Universe was yeeting me out of the nest before I felt ready. Still, with just 4 years of guitar playing under my belt, attending something as prestigious sounding as the Americana Song Academy felt overzealous. My wings were still wet. Carl attempted to mollify my anxiety with tales from past camps as I swallowed the lump in my throat. Carl is a linguist, a returning song camper, and the host of a lovely and disproportionately elderly open mic I stumbled into last fall in Eugene, and thank goodness. Side note, please stop shooting people of color who accidentally arrive at the wrong address. It turned out I enjoyed the group's finger-picking folk blues as much as they dug my Otis Redding covers and bedroom originals. Carl and the members of the open mic community would eventually help sponsor my participation in what would be a transformative experience for my sense of self as an artist. The Sisters Americana Song Academy, dubbed affectionately Song Camp, was 4 days of examining myself through songwriting, performance, and community in the sage-brush-sprinkled landscapes of Central Oregon. I had previously only experienced spaces like these in cheesy Disney Channel cinematic universes, but this was truly the Camp Rock to my inner Demi Lovato. It was real, complete with cabins, a mess hall, and an anxiety-inducing open mic. Though, instead of mop-headed diva boy bands, I found myself fawning under the gracious mentorship of artists like Kashana, Luke Winslow King, Roberto Luti, and more. In hindsight, the wall I built around myself would make Donald Trump proud. This was not one of those too cool for school situations. Let's call a spade a spade. I was afraid of being seen. A phantom of me drifted from workshop to workshop, gleaning as much as it could about harmonizing, storytelling with strings, and slide guitar while also somehow wanting to be invisible. By the last day of camp, my sympathetic nervous system was slumped over in exhaustion from the tug of war. As we all stood that morning in the church of our closing circle for one last song, I welled to my surface and spilled out over my cheeks. I realized I was safe, probably the safest I'd been in a really long time, and it was too late. It was over. It was also beginning. If I were to distill a few concrete maxims from the collective experience, it would go something like this. 1. You are worthy of love, support, and affirmation, even in your most broken and unhealed state. Come as you are safe. The story I was telling myself upon my arrival in Sisters was that I did not belong there. Whether the story was my own or one I had internalized, I'm still sorting out. Either way, the myth of it was dispelled by the outpouring of love, support, and affirmation I received at camp, even when I felt I was at my ugliest and most undeserving. 2. Community, both human and non-human, can facilitate healing. Author, educator, and social activist Bell Hooks once asserted that rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation. Healing is an act of communion. At camp, I found myself moving towards the warmth, tenderness, and vulnerability that was modeled every time a band played together. I would gaze into the depths of blue lake which hugged the shores of our camp and, in full transparency, showed us its naked underbelly. I marveled at the stars above me which shone unabashed every night on my walk back to my bunk. Sometimes the best ways we learn to heal and be our unbridled selves are by example. 3. It's a challenge to be an artist under capitalism. Being embedded within a socio-economic system that prioritizes the accumulation of wealth means being a successful artist by capitalism standards can come at the cost of your own authenticity and self-determination. Many of the artists at camp made it clear that being a musician is a job just like any other, and it doesn't pay great. However, using music as a healing modality to give voice to the voiceless and as a convener of community carries an inherent value and impact that cannot be adequately captured by any dollar amount, and this seems like a much more worthwhile payout in the long run. So, will Song Camp see me again in the future? I hope so. In the meantime, there's a fire in my belly to honor the voice within me that was so afraid to be heard during my stay in Sisters. If Song Camp was something like a mirror, then it showed me everything I could be on the other side of my fear, everything that is already within me, just waiting for my permission to be seen and held tenderly. Song Camp modeled for me how to do that when I couldn't even do that for myself, and for that, I am grateful.